Now, folks, I'm also going to want to talk about Ron Paul. Have you noticed now, having undertaken the solitary task of taking on Ron Paul, have you noticed, as of the last few weeks, other people have started to figure out what the man stands for, what the man's doing, how dangerous his foreign policy is, having nothing to do with the Constitution, as a matter of fact. It's a figment of his own imagination. That they've now uncovered the very newsletters that I've been putting on my social sites and have talked to you about on this program, newsletters that are extremely concerning to us, to me, which has all kinds of racist stuff in it. And he says, what, are you calling me a racist? No, I'm trying to find out, Dr. Paul, who is behind your newsletter. And you won't tell us. So you're covering it up. If you didn't write it, you know who wrote it. It was edited. And more information is starting to come out. Well, Mark, that's because he's higher in the polls. Well, that's true. Because if you're really, really low in the polls, nobody cares. But Michelle Bachmann took him to task. And he sounded so feeble and incoherent. Even if you watched the debate, certainly if you didn't, but even if you watched it, it's worth a very short clip to remind you. Michelle Bachmann versus Ron Paul. Michelle Bachmann cleaned his clock. You don't have to believe me. You can listen for yourself. Cut 9, go.
And we have an IAEA report that just recently came out that said literally Iran is within just months of being able to obtain that weapon. Okay. Nothing could be more dangerous than the comments that we just heard.
All right, 30 seconds.
There is no UN report that said that. It's totally wrong on what you just said.
IAEA report.
That is not true. They produced information that led you to believe that, but they have no evidence. There's been no enrichment.
And if we agree with that, the United States people could be at risk of our national security.
So I'd like to finish. If she thinks we live in a dangerous world, she ought to think back when I was drafted in 1962 with the nuclear missiles in Cuba. And Kennedy calls Khrushchev and talks to him and talks him out of this, and we don't have a nuclear exchange. And you're trying to dramatize this, that we have to go and treat Iran like we've treated Iraq and kill 1 million Iraqis, and 8,000 some Americans have died since we've gone to war.
See, every now and then you really get a look into Ron Paul's belief system. You heard he said that we've killed 1 million Iraqis. We have not killed 1 million Iraqis. That's what the lunatic left likes to say in order to trash our military and trash our own country. What kind of conservative says something that's so over the top, utterly false, that we have killed 1 million Iraqis? He says some 8,000 Americans have died since we've gone to war. Now that would include Afghanistan as well as Iraq. Now that's interesting. So I guess he's against our defending ourselves against the forces in Afghanistan. I don't know what the hell Kennedy calling Khrushchev has to do with anything. Do you? This guy cherry picks. Would this be the same Kennedy who massively increased the number of troops in Vietnam? I mean, what's he talking about? Does he know what he's talking about? He wants to go back to 1962 when he was drafted into the military. And he served honorably, and for that we salute him. He wants to go back through memory lane, but the guy's memory's so bad he can't even tell us who wrote his newsletters. Who edited his newsletters? Who put that racist crap in his newsletters? And by the way, it's not just him. It's this gaggle of nutjobs who back him. There's a guy that writes for the New Jersey Ledger, Paul Molshine, who I call Paul Moonshine. The guy is, he's a weirdo. He's just sick. Has a very important column today, calls me a Marxist. Marxist Levin. Good one, Paul. Great. I think you'll be stuck at that little newspaper for the rest of what you call your career. Then we have a few outlier professors. Tom DiLorenzo, a.k.a. Tom DeBozo, a Lincoln hater. And fundamentally, why does he hate Lincoln? Oh, he runs around, fan dance style, covering up the truth, because he wanted the nation. This is DeBozo, to dissolve. That's why. Nothing to do with habeas corpus and so forth. Then you got another moron running around. Tom Woods. Tom Woods. Who's Tom Woods? I don't know who Tom Woods is. All I know is he can't seem to keep a permanent position, and he's another one in the Paul inner circle. He keeps putting out YouTube stuff. I'm told I won't look at it. And at the end he says, see, I got Levin. I beat him. This is the kind of circus that we're dealing with around Ron Paul. My buddy Sergeant Tim writes, perhaps RuPaul forgets the call to Nikita came, that would be Khrushchev, after we blockaded the Soviet Navy from Cuba. The call was made only when Khrushchev backed down. But JFK had to throw him a bone, so he agreed to remove our listening sites in northern Turkey. Get your facts right. Get your conspiracy theories right. So at least if you're going to be appeasers, base it on some foundation. Ron Paul last night, more anti-American bullcrap about how we provoke our enemies. Cut 8, go.
Obviously, I would like to see a lot less nuclear weapons. I don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I would like to reduce them because there would be less chance of war. But to declare war on 1.2 billion Muslims and say all Muslims are the same.
Ho. Who said that? When he said that last night, I said, well, who the hell said that? Declare war on 1.2 billion Muslims? I didn't hear Bachmann say it. I didn't hear Santorum say it. He throws these red herrings out there. Yes, we're going to declare war on 1.2 billion Muslims. Who said that? Go ahead.
This is dangerous talk. Yeah, there are some radicals, but they don't come here to kill us because we're free and prosperous.
Oh, stop. No. They didn't come here to kill us because we're free and prosperous on 9/11 and the other attempts that failed because of things like the Patriot Act and other stuff that he opposes. No, they came here to love us. They were bearing gifts for Ramadan. Do they give gifts on Ramadan, Mr. Producer? Honestly, I have no idea, but I'm sure. Whatever. But, yes, it's all a terrible misunderstanding. It's our government's fault. We provoked them in those attacks. Just a few what the hell? Just a few of them. God, what a crackpot. Go ahead.
Switzerland and Sweden? I mean, that's absurd.
Stop. Do they go to Switzerland and Sweden? Does anybody go to Switzerland or Sweden? No. What does Switzerland and Sweden have to do with it? They're coming after us because we are the superpower for liberty. Get it? They're not going to Switzerland or Sweden to get national health care. They're coming here to attack the heart of the West. See the point? Of course you don't. Go ahead.
If you think that is the reason, we have no chance of winning this. They come here and they explicitly explain it to it. The CIA has explained it to us. It said they come here and they want to do us harm because we're bombing them.
Oh, now I get it. We're bombing them. We're bombing them. It's not that we should pay attention to what the jihadis actually say. Of course, the Iranians want to slaughter all the Jews in Israel because the Jews in Israel have been bombing Iran. Oh, yes. They're constantly bombing Iran. Don't you know that? That's why the Islamo-Nazi regime in Tehran wants to wipe out the Jews in Israel, because they're bombing Iran. Right? No, you idiot. Wrong. Why does Hugo Chavez and his regime hate us? Are we bombing Venezuela? No. Are we bombing Bolivia? No. Ecuador? No. Nicaragua? No. And yet, they have communist leaders in those countries, all of which are constantly scheming against us. Why do the Red Chinese hate us? Have we been bombing Beijing? No. Because they're communists, that's why. And I could go on, but why the hell should I? Oh, yes, Ron Paul and his wacky professors, they've got it all figured out. I wonder if any of them wrote his newsletters. Don't ask Ron Paul. He doesn't know who wrote his newsletters. He never read them. He never wrote them. He never produced them. He never profited from them. Ron Paul really isn't his name. Just like Obama, as I said, sitting there in the pews. I don't know who the hell Wright is. I never heard a single speech that he gave. Yes, at my request, he married my wife and me, and he baptized my kids. But so what? He actually didn't say anything. He just baptized them. Oh. You don't know who Wright is? You don't know what he said? Of course not. What about Bill Ayers? What about him? You went to his house. You launched your campaign for Congress. He helped raise money for you. We introduced you to other radical nutjobs in Chicago. Who's Bill Ayers? Never heard of him. What are you trying to suggest? That I'm a commie? What are you trying to suggest? I don't love my country? Like this Ron Paul. You saying I'm a racist? No, I'm saying genius. He's the genius, right? With his little cabal of professors, tenured bureaucrats. Yes, I'm asking him. Explain the newsletters. Explain them. Oh, they're coming after Ron Paul. No, I've been talking about this for a very, very long time. Let's go to Bob, Birmingham, Alabama, the great WAPI. How may I help you, sir?
Hello, Mr. Levin. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
Nice to talk to you. The first time I've called the show. I'm an ex-Republican because they forced me out of the party, basically, with their behavior. And I do support Ron Paul. I'd like to just comment that it seems...
Well, wait a minute. Ron Paul's not an ex-Republican. He became a Republican, and now he wants the Republican nomination. So what are you talking about?
Ex-Republican.
No, I know who you are, but I'm saying your great leader did the opposite of what you did.
Yes, but what I wanted to comment...
So why do I care what you think about the Republican primary if you're an ex-Republican and you left the Republican Party?
Well, I haven't left. I'm still a registered Republican. But
so you're not an ex-Republican. You're a member of the Republican Party. So why did you say you're an ex-member of the Republican Party?
This is not about me. This is about Ron Paul as well.
Well, it is about you because I'm talking to you and not Ron Paul. You came on and you said I'm an ex... I listened to what you said, Bob, because you hit and run and you cherry pick. You said I'm an ex-Republican. You're not an ex-Republican. You're a registered Republican. What you are is an there he goes. What he is an ex-member of the Libertarian Party is what I wanted to get at with him, who with others are coming into the Republican primary process to trying to influence it. I'm not against any of that, but let's at least get our representations on the table and be truthful. And be truthful. That's all. Don't tell me you're something when you're not. By the way, Dr. Paul, you're asked continually, will you run third party? And you keep saying, it is my intention not to. What is that all about? It's out there to create confusion, isn't it? It's out there to have that little hope that you're prepared to be a spoiler. Right? Do I have that about right? In other words, for all your claptrap, the fact of the matter is, you are prepared to see this country go down under Barack Obama because your ego's out of control. This could be a close election, particularly in these battleground states. 1% here, 5,000 votes there. No, Ron Paul's not a juggernaut, even if he wins in Iowa. All due respect to Iowa. I love Iowa. Never been there, but I love it. Why do I love it? Because I'm supposed to. But I love it because I like corn. And people who work hard to grow corn are good people. Good people. Down-to-earth people.